All right, so I think we are live everywhere. Give it a couple of minutes and go from here. And thank y'all for joining me, for showing up, for checking in with this week's Greater Self, Greater Self by the podcast. I'm Dr.Z. Did I actually hit live? Okay, I think. All right, cool. I'm live on all the things and all the places and all the ways. All right, I got thumbs up from the team. We're doing our thing. So, welcome, y'all. Thank you for joining me. Um, okay. All right, cool. I'm going to keep that popped up so I don't miss it. Now that we know we're live on all the platforms, welcome. Thank you again for joining me, y'all. If you are on the Instagrams, the TikToks, the Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you're actually tuning in at. One, I want to say thank you very much for joining me and showing up. Oh, shoot. Okay, it clicked off. Thank you for joining me and showing up tonight or today. Yeah, it is nighttime, probably in most places. We are actually talking about the night my nervous system stopped scanning. And coincidentally, this happens to be also the same day. And it may be, exactly almost 7 days ago. It was the night of the blood moon. So, again, welcome back to the Greater Self Vibes podcast. And because this is kind of more of a personal nature, not that what I don't share isn't personal, anyways, but you're definitely going to get some insights into some significantly more personal details about, I guess, my life, my experience, how that's been going, and how I did and or do intentionally go about managing that. So it's about noticing something that's subtle but rather life-changing. And I'm reading this to you guys because it's kind of like I'm going to take you on a little journey. I'm going to tell you a story, give you a chance to really get into the mood. So I hope you're settled in, you're ready for this. Do make sure you comment, share this with somebody else, invite them to come on and join. But it was a night that I realized I wasn't worrying or worried. Surprisingly, you would assume, or I would definitely have made the assumption that why would I ever be worried about much of anything, if ever? But the reality is, I actually was worried a lot and have been probably most of my life and just didn't realize how that was showing up. But this particular night, and again, it last week there was the whole blood moon. There's all this energetic stuff moving around on that 3-3 portal. Like, if you care about those things, then it would make sense for you to know exactly what I'm talking about and maybe your own experiences of those things. I wasn't looking for something to worry about. I actually happened to pop up. Um, Gamer get okay, cool. I guess I'll check out that skit or skip later. Anyhow, I woke up, and typically in the middle of the night, I don't know if you all have ever experienced this, but when you have anxiety or you're worried about things, when you wake up in the middle of the night, the first thing that typically happens is you immediately start rejoining all the things that you were thinking about before, the stuff you were worried about, your concerns, your thoughts, and it's like, oh my God, I'm doing all the things, or maybe I'm not doing all the things. And this night, I recognized I woke up in the middle of the night, and I don't wake up in the middle of the night often. So there's that. Um, and there was nothing that popped in my mind. I wasn't worried about anything, and I wasn't looking for something to be worried about. When you have lived in a space of hypervigilance and maybe ever been confused, anxious about love, or ever just been scanning to make sure you're safe, so like waking up and then immediately going to, do I hear a sound, do I hear a noise, is anything happening, is everything okay, are people still breathing? Hence, if you are a parent, you have probably gone and checked on your children, even as adults, or at least I know I have, and just wanted to see, like, are you breathing? Okay, they're breathing, I can go lay back down. But this particular time, and this is why this episode is for you, this particular night, I didn't. There weren't any things to go look at, consider, worry about, none of that. So, like I said, it was last week. I went to bed, and actually last week when I joined you guys, that whole podcast was brought to you guys by Mucinex because I was actually bona fide tired and and actively going through the process of like being in the flu. So I can't say I don't recall ever being sick like that before, but I was last week. And I know I was speaking a mile a minute because I was absolutely trying to get through it so I could go take my next dose of medication so I could go to sleep. And maybe this is part of what happened, but I did go to sleep sick the night before, the kind of sick you get when you do have children in your home and you know when they are about to get sick. You hear it, you see it, bam, they get sick. You say, please, 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 give me some space. Don't be in my space. Like, I don't want to get sick. You're spraying the stuff, you're doing the things, and yet you still end up sick. So, sick. I know who the carrier was. Before I woke up around 4 a.m. or so, I did have a dream. And it was interesting because in this particular dream, and if you've followed me before, I know you can gain lots of information from being able to stay present with and interpret your dreams. And if you're someone who doesn't usually recall them or remember them, that's something to think about and look into. But in this dream, someone was like removing my toenail because it looked infected or dirty or damaged, whatever it was, but it actually wasn't infected. It was the layer of, if you get acrylic nails or like, what is this polish that stays on there for a minute. In this moment, the words are leaving me. So we'll just say acrylic for this moment. But it was basically a hard and protective layer. So it seemed like they were like trying to rip off like the thing, and they were trying to go like super slow, and they were like trying to be gentle to not like rip my real life nail off. But once they started pulling it up, they realized it was just the gel. That's what it is. The gel polish that was on there. Oh, I hope our battery stays alive long enough to finish this story, this podcast. And they were like taking their time and being so gentle. Once they realized that it wasn't that, they were able to go ahead and clean it off. And it ended up being fine. Looking at dream interpretations, taking or removing off perceivably infected things is kind of like recognizes when you're exposed to things in the world or life, and someone trying to care for it in a gentle, kind way, kind of how I care for other people, was just mirroring back the reflection of me probably being sick and still yet trying to show up and care for other people. So as I did wake up from that dream, I didn't even bother to check my phone because there wasn't anything to look for in the first place. That wasn't necessarily different, but I didn't choose to try to look through messages or read anything or even set myself up to be bracing for disappointment, which is typically what would happen in the middle of the night if I went to go look at my phone, was to go see, did someone respond or not respond? Did the exchange of care get reciprocated? Did it not? I didn't choose to get up and write any notes. Actually, I did. That's what I did do. I got up. I wasn't worried about anything. But since I was awake, instead of laying in the bed wide awake, I did go downstairs. I wrote some notes because clearly you'll never go wrong writing notes when you're a therapist if you'd like to get paid, especially if you're self-employed. I listened to a podcast while I was doing it, and then I went back to sleep. And what I realized was I wasn't worried in that whole process at all. Like, had the dream, had the thoughts about the dream, got up, didn't check my phone to look for anything, wasn't trying to see like, did I or did I not receive messages, and just kind of did what needed to be done and didn't have any judgment about it for myself either. So there wasn't a, oh, you should be asleep right now. Why are you awake? What's going on? It was pretty much just kind of chill. So if you've ever been hypervigilant in your love life, then you would totally understand what it's like to wake up in the middle of the night and be checking your phone and wanting to make sure like that person reached out to you, they called you, they tried to make a connection. And if you've been in a cycle of noticing that someone creates patterns and routines and then kind of breaks it, so you stay hooked and connected, and you've got this whole little flow that's going where you're seeking, they give, seek, give, it stops. Now you're like, oh, I'll try harder, I'll do all the things. Hence the hypervigilance. I'll show them, I'll prove to them how much I care, how much they can choose to care for me, because then they'll be able to see how good or great I am. Unfortunately, this was a subtle little hum in my nervous system for probably a whole lot of life once I started recognizing that that was a thing. Um, Noticing in these moments, like how someone's energy was towards me, checking to see are they in a good space? Because if they're in a good space, then that means I can be in a good space, and judging my own feelings or thoughts or ability to do or be because of what someone else was or wasn't going through. Anticipating that they were going to break the cycle or routine or weren't going to keep their word or were going to show up in some kind of way and something was going to be wrong or off. And now I'm going to have to decide, do I forgive? Do I forget? Which is the things I forget, they're gone. But for the most part, keeping a tally or a score of what someone else has done to determine if they've added up to enough points to do something different, I probably have been way too effective at it. And if that's something that you've experienced, and you totally know what I'm talking about in regards to being hypervigilant in love, where you are keeping a tally mark of how many times did this person do this, and this. You're creating, checking, and noticing patterns, and you're preparing yourself to always be disappointed. Even when things are good, you find that, man, it's really hard to not always be in preparation mode and trying to figure out, is this going to be the next time that I get my feelings hurt, that I get played for a fool, that I get let down, whatever the thing is. But you start to notice, you notice that person's pattern, and then you start recognizing your own pattern and trying to figure out how in your hypervigilance you can disguise itself and say it's more about devotion and me paying attention to a person instead of recognizing you're taking responsibility for how someone else feels and choosing to make it your job to be more intuitive, more mature, more whatever, so that this person can keep loving you and you can keep experiencing the feeling you liked about being loved by them. But it's ultimately a survival tactic. And when you're in this survival mode and you are constantly looking for, let me find the issue first so I'm not blindsided. Let me anticipate when the shift is going to happen and learn this pattern so I won't be abandoned and I won't have to keep scanning for being safe or not. You recognize you never built the connection or relationship on safety, anyways. And at the moment that you knew it wasn't safe, you went hard in the paint, most likely, or at least I definitely have. You went hard in the paint and trying to figure out how to change it, shift it, fix it, make it better. So you can wake up in the middle of the night and feel cool. You're not tripping. You're not worried. You're not trying to figure out, is this person somewhere else? Is a thing happening? Like, you already know what it is. And you know what it is because you built the connection on a stable foundation, not trying to still prove love and show up and be all the things. It's rather exhausting, to say the least. At a certain point, you get to a space where you're exploring this difference of numbness versus regulation. When you are choosing to numb out, some people may choose to do so by substances or other things. And ultimately, what you're trying to do is make sure that you are absent of any type of feelings whatsoever. When you choose regulation, it allows you to be present without feeling panic. So noticing, I am concerned or worried, but you don't have to be unless you're choosing to. It is noticing that I can wake up in the middle of the night and not be freaked out about a thing happening or trying to brace for something that's going to happen or wonder, does someone still care? If you're solid with where you're at and you get comfortable with noticing, I know I'm good. I know I'm at peace. I know what I'm contributing and not contributing. I know that I am actually still loved and cared for. And whether it is or isn't that particular person that is still loving and caring for you, what you can know undeniably is what you've chosen to do in your life. At that point, you start to feel a little more comfortable with not choosing to keep scanning to see, is what I'm feeling real or am I making it up? This is that point where your feminine power isn't just emotional intensity, it's emotional steadiness. You're able to manage and notice your patterns, notice how your energy does or doesn't move, so that in the middle of the night, you're not like waking up like, oh my gosh, okay, let me make sure I regulate everything and everybody around me so that I can be cool. Instead of, let me make sure I'm good, I'm straight. I'm not responsible for regulating any and everyone else, romantic and otherwise. I just need to make sure I'm good And then I can show up as the best version of me in these relationships or connections anyways. When you start moving into this space, you are able to create boundaries as your nervous system repair. So what that looks like is earlier in that week, I think, aside from being sick, I had created a boundary. And it's not even that I created, I held it. So you can say you're going to do a thing. You can say you're going to show up this way. You can say you're not taking this, you're not going for that. But every time you don't follow through, you pretty much folded on a boundary that you created that was supposed to be there to protect you and allow your nervous system to feel regulated. I did create this boundary, and for once, I held it. Or I won't say for once, I held it recently. Something that I hadn't historically been doing. I would kind of bend and fold, like, well, maybe this time if I keep performing and keep overproducing, it'll change and be different. That's not what, it hasn't happened yet. And I can't say there's ever been a time where it has. Is it possible? Yes, in the movies. My life, while I might be the main character and have main character energy, that particular movie wasn't happening or going that way. So maintain this boundary. I did not opt to override my grief. I didn't negotiate with my loneliness and decide to fold because I just didn't want to be by myself. And at the same time, I didn't opt to trade intimacy for reassurance. Historically, I would have just folded and been like, I'd rather be held in this moment than to start the process of rebuilding a different connection. I cried and I stayed within this boundary nonetheless. People that know me in real life, I probably cry way more than one would imagine. And it is mostly because if the tears are there, it's because they need to be released. Who wants to be constipated with things in their body that could be released out of it if you just let it go? So definitely cried a lot. And what I noticed was that night that I woke up and I wasn't like searching for stuff or trying to recalibrate anything. That was probably one of the first nights that I did get to own the reality of, oh shoot, my nervous system is starting to settle. Things don't have to always go from 0 to 100 all the time. It can be cool. It can be chill. And it was. Reassurance definitely soothes you temporarily, like someone saying it's all good, maybe going and crying into the arms of the one who harmed you or I don't know, apologizing for stuff you didn't actually do could feel good in the moment to know that, all right, someone is addressing me, someone is attending to me, someone is saying they care, even though you know, they know, everyone knows it's temporary, but you're like, let me tell myself this lie so I can feel okay in the moment. Boundaries restructure your nervous system permanently when you maintain them and when you hold them, even past that point of wanting that temporary reassurance. Does it feel good in the moment? No, it hurts. Like you're grieving who you wanted to be with at times, who you wanted to be as a person because you were with this person. This even happens when you look at jobs. This happens when parents become empty nesters. There are lots of different scenarios where you don't recognize the level of grief you actually go through and experience when you're shifting and changing into different roles and the way those roles show up and the dynamics of them, that it means a part old version of you dies in order for this new one to now live. And it doesn't mean it died because it wasn't good or good enough. It's just time for it to evolve. When people start having their glow ups, a version of them had to die in order for this to happen. The real glow up typically is not when you find yourself in a place of, I'm going to show everybody or show the people or the things. Like getting revenge doesn't actually use your energy in the best possible way at all. It's not acting unbothered and pretending nothing phases me. It's not trying to continue to prove your worth. Like you probably did that in the relationship. That's why it didn't quite go the way you thought. You're like, if I keep proving, then it's going to show up. It didn't. It just didn't. When survival turns off and creation begins, you notice that you stop chasing after things and you actually start building what you most want. And you get real comfortable with, that's not it, I'll pass. I'm cool. I had a client say to me today, in the dynamics of a connection, saying that it was a hard pass. You may find yourself getting real comfortable with a lot of hard passes because your peace is so significant, and being able to build a nervous system that stabilizes this to where your standards would naturally rise anyways. You find yourself in a position where not only did having your nervous system feel comfortable and safe, like really do you a solid, but you like the way this feels. This will probably be the beginning of you noticing that you have peace, that when you're making choices and decisions, they don't feel forced, pressured. You don't feel like you need to perform. You feel very much so like you can be received by whomever it is you're wanting to be received by. And the people that don't, it's okay, because clearly they're not your people. In the event that this particular episode resonated, the story, the overall view of, do the things that allow your nervous system to work for you. Set and hold the boundaries that make a difference for the life that you're seeking to create. If you haven't already received that lifestyle yet, living and acting as if, so the be do have, like you can put it however you want to, put you in a frame to not miss the opportunities to experience things that you were seeking and wanting, as well as noticing, I can't help but to throw it in there, how feminine it is to be in a space of receiving when you created a nice structure to allow yourself to be poured into from other people, and most importantly from yourself. The only way that you're going to actually get to being and doing and experiencing the type of person you want to be is by getting real comfortable with disrupting those old ways of functioning and habits that other people have grown accustomed to, so that you do have a different experience of you. You get to notice when things are really going well, and you get real comfortable with, I like the way this feels. This level of peace is absolutely working for me. And yeah, that's going to be a hard no, and this is a hell yes. I'm here for it. If this resonated with you, I would love for you to, especially if you're on the YouTubes, like this afterwards, share it, post it, tell somebody else to listen that maybe didn't get to join in live, and maybe I'll see you on the mat. Maybe you're ready to move around some of that energy in your body so we can open up your hearts, get those hips open, so you're in a place to actually receive and build this type of stability and structure you're looking for. If you're like, I already got my body in place, it's doing its thing, we're good, that's cool. You could still come and just enjoy yourself. Like, why not? It's not a million years long. It's a great setup for the night. We have it tonight. We have it on Saturday mornings. You also can join me on Saturday mornings after, well, let's see, before yoga, and kind of jump into this feminine CEO lifestyle and notice what that looks like to start creating your own peace, recognizing how you can pour into you more. It's not just about self-care and self-love. It's taking about 45 minutes out of your whole weekend to give to yourself. And if you don't think you deserve 45 minutes, then you're absolutely the person that should be there. So we can look at, how do you start creating micro experiences of having the life you want to have on purpose without still continuing to be the strong friend that's doing everything for everybody else at your expense. So tonight, 8 p.m., well, I should say Tuesdays, 8 p.m., Hips and Hearts Yoga. Saturday, 10 a.m., Hips and Hearts Yoga with me, of course, and a nice little flow and music to go with it. And then Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., I will see y'all for the Feminine CEO Lifestyle, where we will be breaking down those barriers of why people even assume that femininity was dead in the first place, when all BS aside, it's just been extremely misunderstood. Well, I thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate my batteries for holding up on all the different things so that we can complete this session for tonight. And I look forward to seeing y'all later. Do please leave any comments, questions, likes, and concerns. And I look forward to seeing y'all next week on St. Patrick's Day, I believe. So should have a special little something. And absolutely, I'll be wearing green. So everybody that's here for that and here with me to do it, I look forward to, drop me a little photo of yourself afterwards, especially if you join live. Well, y'all have a great evening, and I will see you later. As soon as I figure out how to, again, close out of these things, the fun part. How do we end it? And